Okie dokie. Hello, we did it. Jazz hands for you. Yay. Good morning, afternoon, probably more like evening for most of you. I always forget that that's the thing. It's 12:30 here in Hawaii and 6:30 in everywhere else in the East Coast. Hello, welcome. Thanks for being here. I took off last week because just not having a great mental health day. It's all good, Joe. Don't worry about it. And so feeling better this week. Lots of things are moving. I'm having some productive days and some not productive days, but that's just life anyway, right? Can't have a productive day every single day. Otherwise, you'd be a superhuman person. So that's what we're doing. And I just wanted to say hello and hope that you're doing well. Hope your singing is going well. Let me know what you're working on. I always love to know what's going on in your creative world. Are you writing songs? Are you working on a cover song? Are you working on a specific strength in your voice? Like what's in your vocal world? What's hanging out for you? And if you have questions or anything, I'm here to answer them if you want. So I just wanted to be here for that, as well as just to remind you that you're doing so much better than you think you are. And even if I don't work with you, I know that's true because you're here and you're watching this video and you are on purpose saying yes to growing, and you're growing your voice and yourself as a human. Because the people that don't do that don't watch these videos. They just turn on the TV and they don't think about growth at all. You know, they don't follow the people that are coaches. They don't follow people that are doing the thing they want to do, you know? So you're a winner already in that respect. I think it's really important to give yourself some gratitude sometimes, and also to give yourself some practice sessions where you just take the pressure off a little bit, you know. I was working with a student today who all of us in my world are perfectionists and pushers and people pleasers and all that. And so almost all of my students have the same issue of like you're doing too much, right? We have this cycle, this negative feedback loop of like, okay, that note didn't sound how I want it to sound, so I'm going to fix it, right? I'm going to push harder at it. I'm going to try and really put my whole self into it. And sometimes we don't realize what that's doing on a physiological level, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for trying hard, right? Efforting is what gets you to newer and bigger places. And it can really bring you into this place of over-efforting in your muscles, right? Because when you're giving your body a direction through your thoughts, which sometimes are we forget that we can control our thoughts. So when your thought is, I gotta do that note better, I gotta fix it, I gotta push harder, higher, stronger, faster, etc., that Daft Punk song, that's the direction that you're giving to your body, whether you realize it or not. So when you're giving that direction to your voice and your vocal muscles, what that translates as for most of us is over-efforting in the vocal muscles. It depends on the muscle for everybody. Some people really just overdo it with their tongue until they go. Some people really squeeze in here, maybe in the outer vocal muscles. Maybe they're using the ones that pull the cords apart, so it sounds more breathy. Or maybe, oh, okay, my microphone switched. Hopefully you can still hear me, Jade. Let me know. So yeah, it does that. automatically without you knowing a lot of the time when you're not a scientist about your voice, right? But when you are a scientist about your voice, we can start to ask these specific questions. Like when you have this note and it is squeezed or squeaky, or the note's just not coming out clear, like what is getting in the way of that, right? It's not just that you suck and you can't hit that note. That's never the answer. There's always a scientific reason for it. It's not always a biological technique issue. Sometimes it's a mental issue, but the mental, as I was saying, relates to and contributes to what's happening physiologically, right? So if you are one of those people that tries to hit these high notes and just like really goes for it, right? Ah! And you go really, really strong and you hit those notes, and for some reason you're having trouble, like it just doesn't sound right. The pitch goes a little off and you just can't control it, or maybe there's a little extra strain than you want it to be. Like it just doesn't feel as easy as you'd like it to be, right? Like you can still mostly hit the note, it just doesn't sound the way you think it should sound. That's the case for so many people. Does that mean you suck and you can never hit that note? Absolutely not. It means that we have to go in and isolate a couple of things, right? What do you feel in your body is happening? Number one. Okay, tightness in here. Maybe that's what you feel. Okay, great. So what if we, instead of allowing that cycle to continue, what if we take a step back and we try and hit that note lighter and easier without as much pedal to the metal, right? So then it turns into like, ah, instead of ah, right? So then we feel what that feels like, right? Okay, it felt like my throat was a little more open. I wasn't over efforting and over engaging with these muscles in here. I wasn't just trying to get that note out because I didn't trust myself, right? So it's important to look at what feels like is happening in your actual body, as well as what's going through your mind. What thoughts are you having? What are you visualizing in order to hit that note? Maybe you're not doing anything and you're just letting your mind run wild. Okay, still what thoughts came in right before you hit that note, because that will often tell you what directive you gave your vocal mechanism in order to hit that note. And that's why you're starting to feel like it's a little strainy, or it's a little too squeaky or a little too breathy than what you wanted it to be originally. And now that we can pick these reasons apart, we can start to isolate them, right? Just like a scientist does. The scientists don't change all variables every single time, because otherwise you would never know what the issue was, why it wasn't working, right? You have to change one variable one time, and then if that didn't fix it, then you push it in the other direction even more, right? You go even further and you test one variable in all its iterations. And then if that didn't change the issue, okay, we know it's not that variable, right? We know that it's not my tongue muscle getting hyper involved in here. Great, because I can sing it with my tongue out and it still does the same thing. Okay, that's important information, right? So then we move on to the next skill, the next category of the things that go into here. Maybe it's the air, right? Maybe you're not putting enough air into the note, right? You could be one of those people that when your body decides to push harder, you squeeze your abs, right? And so then the abs cannot fully help you push that air out in the most efficient way. So that's an important thing to know. So maybe we think about what's happening on the inhale, right? Can we fully release those abs on the inhale so that those abs can be there to help you in the next phrase that you're about to say? And how can we keep that channel open between the lungs and the abs and the sound up here? How can we keep this tube open all the way so that we don't get derailed by this feeling like we have to push harder, and then that pushing closes the airway a little bit? Sometimes that happens, maybe that's for you. And same thing, if you change all the little pieces of your breath, and you keep trying to open things and that sound still doesn't change, great, we know it's not the breath. Then we move on to another thing. Then we start to look at what's going on in the brain. Honestly, I like to go to the brain and the mind first because that kind of drives everything else. So a lot of the time when I'm working with a student and they're having this same kind of issue, like say they are trying to hit a high note and it's too pushed, or it's the sound's not coming out as they want it to, right? It's like half the volume, or just very squeezy and strainy and squeaky. I immediately, instead of telling them to open up, because I've told them that many times before probably, immediately I will go to what was going through your mind before you tried to sing that note. And oftentimes it's some version of, I gotta hit this note, I gotta make that pitch, I have to do it better, it has to be pretty, why can't I hit that note? Some version of fear, not good enough, distrust in your vocal mechanism. Let me know if this rings a bell to you. Put an emoji in the chat if you have felt this before, right? If you've never gone through and asked yourself what was the thought that was showing up right before you hit a struggle point, highly recommend going to do that, because the closing of the airway, the squeezing of the muscles in here, you didn't do that on purpose. You did that, your body did that as a response to this fear mechanism, to this distrust. Your body was like, oh, okay, she doesn't trust herself to sing that note, so let me add way more foundation in muscle engagement to help her feel like she can hit that note, right? Your body's just like, it's on your side all the time. But if you're allowing that thought to come through really strong, like, I don't trust myself to hit this note for whatever reason, your body's going to respond to that and be like, hey, let me help you with all of the resources I have. And then it's going to squeeze everything. And then it becomes harder to determine what is over pushing and what is not. Because oftentimes it's a lot of different things. And so we have to one by one release, right? One by one release the tongue, release the jaw, release these muscles, release the abs. Get your whole body back into open and release mode so that we can have that airway open. We can have all of the things that your vocal mechanism knows how to do already, and we're just resetting it back to only working for itself instead of you getting in the way from all of these points along the line because you didn't trust yourself to hit that note. Is this making sense? Let me know. So if you've never gone through and asked yourself, like, okay, what was the thought that went through my head right before I hit that struggle moment? I highly recommend doing that, because all the biological stuff comes from that. Your nervous system is your canvas for everything you're doing with it, including and especially making sound from your voice. Because this muscle, these muscles, all these little teeny muscles are in your body, and they are reacting to what your nervous system is doing way before we even have any connection to what that is. Your nervous system is out in front of you, scoping out for danger. And if it remembers, here's that one note that I can never hit, it's gonna subconsciously, it's doing all this, like, hey, remember that one note? You better prepare yourself for that. And so your body goes, okay, squeeze, right? If this is you, not all of us, this is our reaction, but a lot of us, this is the reaction that our body has to this feeling of not trusting ourselves to hit a note, not with openness anyway. And so what we can do is cut that off. We can, it's like your body's playing telephone before you even get on the line. And what we can do is we can cut that off. Number one, if we are aware of what our body's doing, that is so much better than being unaware and just letting your body do what it does and then blaming yourself after. And we can start to be aware in the moment before you sing that note. And if you start to be aware, turn your gaze inward, and you start to hear that voice in your head that's like, oh, this note, good luck. You better get all of the troops ready for this one. You can be like, no, that's how I used to do it. And now I know that not trusting myself was leading to over-efforting and overwork in all these little teeny muscles. So what we have to do, you're taking charge now. You're getting on the three-way phone call between your brain and your body and your voice. And you're saying, no, this is not what we're doing anymore. We are not overreacting to a previous incident, right? I'm singing, this is objectively safe. I don't have to get all the troops ready to make this happen. What I need to do is trust that I can hit that note and take a step back, open the tubes, give it the fuel, and see what happens there, right? Guarantee more times than not, it's gonna feel better and it's gonna sound better when you actively take a step back from where your nervous system sees that threat and wants you to go hard, right? Your nervous system sees that note coming and it's like, hey, guess what? Here's that big hurdle. Get all the troops ready. And you have to be like, no, I'm in charge. I'm the general of this army, and we are not doing that, right? We are not over-efforting. We are not compensating for a failure that we think is going to happen. It hasn't even happened yet. So what we need to do is intercept that system and not blame it, because this is just this system of your body that's trying to keep you safe from possible threat, right? You can be like, hey, look, nervous system, I hear you, gremlin. I see what you're doing. You're just trying to keep me safe from messing up this note. But guess what? That hasn't been working so far. So we're going to try something different today. I love you. You can stand down. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Because they're always going to come back and help you. That gremlin loves to come back every 5 seconds and be like, hey, guess what I told you though? I told you can hit that note, right? So your job is to intercept that and be like, no, I am in charge. This is what we're doing. We are opening. We are creating fuel from underneath the rib cage. We are creating space above the bottom rib, and we are letting sound out instead of pushing sound out. This is a big difference. So just a different flavor of approaching your voice in a different way. Most of you who I've actually spoken to, this is the same issue for you that I'm guessing. We're just doing too much. And what you can do is you can say, what if it was easy to hit that note? What would that feel like in my body? What if I was just making sound for a minute and I took all the pressure of singing in a song away for a minute, and I started to build up that muscle memory in my body of safety instead of, oh God, here comes that note. Yeah? Try that. Let me know how it goes. And this goes for softer songs as well as bigger, beltier songs. Try it in both contexts and see what your brain and body does when your directive is, you got this, I trust you, instead of do better, harder, faster, stronger. Yeah? Let me know. I'm very curious to see how that experiment goes. Send me a message if you try it. Please do, because it has changed my life. It has changed the life of my students. Everybody sees how good ease can be as a focus point. Easy over good is a big mantra that I have with my students. Feeling over sound. You're going for easy feeling, open feeling, instead of being hyper-focused on what sound is going to come out. Because when you're hyper-focused on what sound is going to come out, your body is not paying attention to what it's doing to make that happen. It is just doing everything humanly possible to make that good sound happen. And that equals over-tension, over-effort, over-squeezing, not letting the air out, a bunch of other things. It's different for everybody. So find where that shows up for you Stop judging it. Go back a couple steps and see if you can tell what's happening in your body, if you can intercept that focus point. Okay? You're amazing. Lots of love. Have a lovely day. Ta-da!